live?
And Facebook.
All right, Facebook. I'm glad you told me so I don't say anything fucked up. All right, guys. So let me first address why we haven't had a podcast in a little bit. We are in our new studio, which, by the way, we're still figuring out. Background looks great. Microphone seems set up. I kind of don't like the angle that I'm sitting at. I kind of fixed it a little bit, but I look a little bit fat on that one angle there. You know, we haven't fixed the air conditioning situation. It's hot as shit in here. But we're here. We got a new studio.
We are here.
We got an actual podcast studio here. That always gets me. So yeah, I mean, we're podcast number, has to be at least 20.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting shiny here because of the sweat. But it is what it is. We'll figure it out. There's worse positions to be in. Kind of like, this is here's another thing. We did a 4.5 hour class. So you and I we were live to 5 million people for what, 4.5 hours today?
4 hours of class time, actual class time, then another half hour for questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been talking for you more than myself, but we've been talking for the day. So we usually kind of figure out what we're going to talk about before we go on the podcast. We don't put a lot of thought into it, but we kind of have it figured out. This is the furthest, the deepest we've gone into the realms of the grasp, the claws of podcasting without figuring out what the hell we're going to talk about today.
There's a few things that have been rolling around in my brain.
All right, let's start throwing those around. You know,
the one thing is I have to say I feel better about real estate from the response that we've gotten from the class that we've done.
Glad you said that. Yeah.
I mean, we had just our first shot at it was 370 people we had in the first contract class.
Yeah.
The second contract class we broke Zoom. We had 800 people, 500 people came, 300 people we couldn't even get in.
Million, you mean?
Yeah, exactly, 1 million. And then today, you know, even though the advertising didn't go out the way it was supposed to and everything, we had over 500 or over 400 people.
Yeah. So let's talk about what the advertising. The advertising, actually, we had a technical glitch. We usually like to promote it about a week in advance, and something happened. Ariel would have to tell us exactly what happened, but I went out like the night before, so a bunch of emails went out. Listen, you're right. I had the same feeling. Like, man, it's pretty cool that so many people really, really want to learn that would stick 4 hours there. And by the way, once we ended the class and the continuing education credits ended, we still had, 70, 80% of the people still there, extra time. I felt really, I had that same feeling like, cool, man, this is our community.
Sure.
It's good because, listen, man, we're there's one really good, there's a lot of good things about having experience and knowing what you're doing in this business, but it's also a really bad thing, which you get really frustrated really quick with the level of real estate professionals that we have in this business. So seeing so many people that want to learn and everything like that. But I gotta always talk about a little bit of the negative. The fucking dorks that were complaining because they received too many emails. We only had one in the class, but we had several complaining, and then I had one that called the office, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I hear on the intercom, Ariel, or a text message that we have in the office. Hey, Ariel, somebody wants to talk, about all the extra emails that they got, reminding them of the class." So again, we're sitting here giving a free class for 4.5 hours. All right, we are pouring our hearts out, but I got some dork on the line that wants to tell me that he received too many emails, right? But of course, hey, listen, as the ultra professional that I am, I started off by, sir, you're 100% correct. My mistake won't happen again. Yeah, because, it's this many emails and everything like that, sir. Yeah, I get it. Trust me, it will never happen again. We're going to fix the issue. Okay. It was just a glitch that we had. I kind of went in explaining to it. He went again. I apologized again. And I ended up with an apology. I'm like, look, it was a mistake, on our part. So again, won't happen again. He goes, well, it was a huge mistake. I'm like, listen, you fucking idiot. All right. Like, dude, you have nothing better to do in your world than complain about some emails. Press unsubscribe, erase, ignore.
Delete.
Delete. So that kind of ruined the fuzzy feeling,
the warm and
the
fuzzy.
warm and fuzzy feeling that I had about all the realtors. But I shouldn't let that happen. I should forget that. I should really focus on how awesome. It also felt pretty damn good that we have a couple of podcasts to reference people to. We've done some pretty damn good podcasts that really give people information. So. One funny thing is that we also got people like us arguing with Richard. So I forgot to tell Richard. So Richard's is my attorney for 16 years. We rarely agree on anything. I mean, it's just we put 10 things on the board, and we might, on a good day, agree on one. You know what I mean? And really severely disagree on the other 9. So. We were teaching a class and yeah, we're completely 100% disagreeing on everything. So for whatever reason, people like that. But we always have to talk about the market and what's going on with the market. I mean, we are today in a market where I'm seeing lines outside for showings.
Yep.
Literally lines. Like in third world countries, people trying to get food. I'm Cuban. In Cuba, you got to do a huge line around the block to get bread. That's really how it is for people to. Man, can I get some water? Because the heat is kind of getting to me. I'm starting to think it's a skin tone thing, bro. How come you're not hot?
I was in that office this morning and my AC went out. So
sorry. It feels like air conditioning.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm good. I feel great.
So you went from no AC to some AC. I get it. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, we're in a very hot market, and we did a podcast not too long ago where we said it was potentially the best real estate market in the history of real estate. I'm going to kind of take that back a little bit now, and I'm going to say they might be too hot.
I think, look, this market would be significantly better with some more inventory.
Or less demand. And I know it sounds crazy, but...
No, it's not less demand. What's needed is more inventory to meet the demand. That would really be the thing that would turn this into the greatest market that it could be.
Right, but thank you, sir. But if rates go up, the first thing it's going to attack or affect is the demand.
Sure.
Less demand. See, but here's the thing, though. I was going to say less demand. Whatever you did there with the audio worked, because there was a huge. Oh, you think you can put that fan over here? Because you motherfuckers had it. You motherfuckers had it pointed to yourself. Hey, listen, man. I worked in a TV station for a while. The talent always comes first. How the fuck do you guys have the fan pointing to you guys? So all right, that feels a lot better. So if demand goes down, we're in a weird situation. Like if demand goes down 80% right now, well, we're all right.
To some extent, but the issue is going to be that there is still this inventory that's going to have to be liquidated from people who are in the gray zone where the bank is giving them a pass right now. Those homes still are not hitting the market.
Okay, so you're counting on that.
I'm saying that's inventory that should be out there in some form.
We had like 700,000 jobless claims now too.
Over 700. Yesterday was a very, which is crazy. I mean, again, the stock market to me right now makes so little sense. It's insane. They have jobless.
It almost doesn't react to anything.
No, it does. Its reaction is the same to everything. It goes up.
Yeah,
it goes up no matter what. Weird. I mean, literally, the stock market has set records, and the economy is not nearly as strong as it was prior to COVID, and it's significantly higher than it was prior to COVID. So what metric are they looking at? I don't get it. What metric are they looking at to sit there and sustain these higher stock prices when the companies that make it up's revenues are lower? How does it make any sense? I mean, obviously there's some inflation baked into the cake, but even so, man, it's really, really weird. I think the play for this market is some satiation through.
What's satiation? I don't even know what that word means.
How you feel after you drink that water. Satisfied.
Oh, okay.
So satiate is to satisfy. The market
when they put that fan, when they took the
exactly.
fan away from the back
you went
to
from,
them.
You went from this
to me, right?
That's satiation right there.
All right, good.
All right, so the market gets satiated if there's supply that comes. So there's a few things that can happen to make that happen. Obviously, people's ability to buy comes up to a place where people can actually start building single-family homes to meet the need, which we're still a ways away from it. There's still too many buyers in that 250 to 400 range that they just can't build to help them. And so when those buyers become 450, 500 buyers, because that's just the way the money is worked at, now all of a sudden you'll start seeing a lot more homes coming onto the market to take and meet that demand. The other thing is all of these homes that the banks are giving forbearance to, which, I mean, I was just reading an article the other day, they may keep the forbearances going through 2022.
Well, they just extended, where we might see an opportunity is income producing properties like fourplex and everything, because they keep on extending that moratorium.
Yeah, the thing is, man, I'm not seeing a lot. I mean, at least not my property management company. I did not see a lot of people. I had one tenant.
I wonder why, though.
Well, there's actually two tenants. One, we evicted them, and we gave them a courtesy call to let them know the sheriff was coming that next, like it was Friday, we called them on Monday. They went to the court and they got the whole thing thrown out after the eviction was already filed. And like it was, not the eviction was filed, it was complete, and all that had to happen was the sheriff come serve the writ. So there is something to be said for that. There is more risk in residential, but the real risk right now, I was just talking to that investor that I told you about. The guy has, all kinds of money. He's sitting there saying to me, the same thing I'm saying. There's got to be inflation. So the inflationary risk is so much more than this interim risk of loss of income for people not performing because they're able to get away with it in the court system.
Right.
People still need a place to live. And if you get booted from here, you're going to have that eviction on your record, and now you got to go rent someplace else. And the rental market is still hot enough where that's a problem.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but So back to my point where you kind of disagreed, and I want to kind of go a little bit further into it to see if you still disagree.
Sure.
I would welcome rates are in the 3s right now. I would welcome rates in the 4s. Okay. I would welcome rates in the 4s. I really think there's just when we start trickling into those 2s and 3s, there's a lot. There's just too many buyers out there. I mean, so I'm seeing properties right now with 50 offers.
Yeah.
50. Mm-hmm. So what's minus 80% of that? Is that like 10 offers? 5 offers?
If you, minus 80% of 50?
Yeah.
So you're at 10.
Right. I got that right the first time.
Yeah,
that's pretty
nice
good.
Work.
Yeah, thanks. So 10 offers is still insanely high.
It is.
That is a market where, again, when I started in the business, everything was houses would take 3 to 6 months to sell. Usually 6.
Yep.
That was the number. 99, 6 months, and everything was FHA, right? And
seller credits.
Right, and everything had 6% seller contribution. Everything had 6% credits. If you were to tell me that we were in a market where we had 10 offers on a property, I'd tell you that's insane. I'm telling you there's 50. I'm telling you there's 50, and I'm telling you it's too much. I'm telling you it's too hot. I'm telling you rates have to go up. I don't think we're ever gonna fix the inventory because let me tell you why. Because what usually fixes inventory, and tell me if I'm wrong, Kat, like when I talk to you, everything has a question mark behind it, right? If since material costs are so high, there's not going to be developers fixing our inventory issues. We're going to be dealing with our same inventory, just rotating around. It's musical chairs.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, I agree with that.
Right.
I agree that there's
wood's like 10 times the price. I had a buddy of mine who's building, I'm not going to say his name, but he's building an 18,000 square foot home. Real good friend of mine. Super happy. Got the land. We got the land for him at a really, really good price. And he's, 2.5 acre, and he's going to build an 18,000 square foot home. And again, I have to tell you how big the home is. And I got to tell you kind of the situation, because even he called me the other day. He was like, dude, I can't build this house. I can't build this house. Like the amount of money it's going to cost me to build this 18,000 square foot home is absolutely insane. Every material because of COVID.
Well, it's not just because right now. That's an interim thing because of COVID, but material costs have gone up. Period.
But not 10 times.
Not 10 times. But material costs in general, about 8 to 10% January 1 of this year.
I'm telling you 10 times as much.
I'm telling you, I understand what you're saying about the specific things that he's looking for, and that's a short-term thing.
Why?
But because supply chains are disrupted. So if you go to Home Depot right now, there was a period there where you could not get any 2-pole Siemens breakers for the longest time. Now, Siemens is one of the most common circuit breaker panels that exist. Why? Because the plant where
I made a joke about that, but I'm not going
to. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I know it's restraint at its best. the plant that was making the 2-pole breakers, they weren't sending them in. I went
Pole.
2-pole.
Go ahead.
I mean, I went to the store looking for just.
I'll be here. Sorry.
I went to the store just looking for one electrical component, a 3/4 inch adapter. I went to multiple Home Depots. Nobody had it. They had the 1/2 inch, they had the 1 inch. Nobody had, and the 3/4 is like a super common size. And the reason being, again, these supply chains have been disrupted. So there's gaps in there. So it's not Home Depot. So Home Depot has the problem, right? But it's the place that Home Depot gets it from that is now out. And the place before that, the supply center where it came from before that, and the distributor in China where it came from before that, they're all out. So in order for this supply chain to refill, there's a whole bunch of production that has to come in to take and refill. This is why Larry Kudlow was talking about how they expected these really good quarters as COVID winds down, because the supply chain emptied out. China shipped all the stuff they had to the middle guy. The middle guy shipped it, and it all went to Home Depot. They sold all of them. Now they have to come back, and they have to not just give Home Depot what they need. They got to refill this entire supply chain along the line in order to make sure that not only do they have what they need now, but for months going forward. This is why the supply lines are so short. They run out of something, 2 days later they have it again. Well, to get it from China on a boat, it doesn't take 2 days, right? And so what we're dealing with is the fallout and all these plants that, everything's fine. One person gets sick, the whole plant's quarantined now. What do we do, right? And so this interruption. So that's the reason why you're seeing these outrageous price spikes. But the real reason that we're going to have this issue is going to be because building materials in general have gone up. I'm doing a home for somebody, a spec build.
From scratch.
From scratch. The building cost is about a 2,000 square foot, 2,400 square foot home. The actual cost, nothing for the contractor. That's a friend, I'm helping him out. $385,000 cost on a 2,200 square foot home.
That would normally be 250-ish.
What the cost?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to wait and see what his actual bill is going to be because of these supply chain issues. He's going to have things where there's spikes. But based upon just where materials costs are right now, that's where that home should be. And so it's scary, guys, because he had to buy the land on top of that. How cheap could they possibly get that plot of land for? Now the general contractor, they got to make some money, right? So you're going to put 25, 30% on top of that because I'm going to have all kinds of risks while that thing's being built. The city comes in and they want a handicapped accessible diving board in the pool or something crazy like that, right? I have to figure all that craziness into the mix. And so what does that home actually have to cost? And we're not talking about 18,000 square feet. 2,200 square feet is just an okay size home. Nothing fancy.
I'll call it normal size, yeah.
Right. So no, I'm not Lennar, right? I'm not building, 5 million of these, so I can't get my cost down to, 250 for every one of these homes. But for the normal person like me, the normal developer guy like me to come in, less than $500,000, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so, maybe Lennar can do it at 425.
Yeah, but even Lennar can't just right now put up 100 homes for market and still, I mean, I guess they could jack up the price, but then again, you listen. Okay, so let me give you some good news. I've had a couple old school clients that have asked me to put some stuff overpriced, right? And it didn't sell.
Okay.
Right. So like that's a normal. I mean, like that in a normal world, that would be like, okay, and what's the story?
Surprise.
What's the story here, right? But
Didn't see that coming.
But it's what I'm trying to say is that if they go out there and they have to build these homes for that price, and they have to go out there and put that up there at a ridiculous price, it's just not going to sell, and they know that they're pushing the prices, and they've realized that they're going to get to a point. I had another developer that I was selling a bunch of homes for right now. And we reached that limit. We reached that. We're like, I call him and I go, hey, buddy, it's not moving, bro. It's not moving. Oh, but you tell me the same thing. Oh, but man, Lennar is this and Lennar's that. I don't give a fuck what Lennar's doing. I'm just telling you right now that look, I'm going to send you a sheet. We are 50 grand over where anybody else is at. And the issue is that those are our last ones. The ones that I had that issue with which were the model homes with every upgrade you could possibly imagine and everything like that. So, it's still a market where, again, these guys, if they put those properties back on the market, if they build them and they put them on the market at a price where, it's just too high for the market, it's not going to sell. And again, that's a super common sense, of course, guy. That makes sense. but not really, man. You know, we have a cap. We have a cap. People are going to pay X amount of dollars to live in X area. You know,
this is true. But what's happening is, and what you're seeing happen in this market is doing that more rapidly than what's a normal process, is that number that makes sense is ticking up. So what the number that worked 6 months ago in that area, that number is now 50,000 more than it was 6 months ago. So
Right.
6 months ago, the number was 500, and nobody's paying more than 500. But now people are paying 550 all the time. Now the number that nobody's going over is 600, right? And so that's what I'm saying to you, is what we see is the normal appreciation that we see over a longer period of time. Like if I said to you, you know, hey, a decent single-family home in 91, 2,000 square feet, how much are you buying it for? 250, 300-ish. That same home now, it's 450, 500, right? Same
Yeah.
home. That happened over time. That number, like in your head, the number that makes sense now is a much higher number. It's just happening in a much shorter period of time because of the market that we have. We're having, it's like a hyperinflationary type thing.
Yeah.
At least where real estate is concerned.
Right, but here's another thing too. So I had another client of mine that I've done a ton of business. I've hundreds of units of sold with him and for him, and so he calls me and tells me about this condo that he needs to sell, and and he's in it a little bit deep, and hey, we got to put it at, hey, listen man, I got to put it like at 365, 370. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, that's high. He's like, yeah, but I got no choice. I'm like, oh, I'll put it up there, but. And again, that was 6-7 months ago. Nothing.
Yeah.
No calls. Yeah, but here's the thing though. So we ended up at 365. We started off at 375, I think. We ended up at 365. We got an offer for 350, right? Appraisal just came back for 340. Right? So again, guy tried to push it, nothing happened. We lowered it a little bit. We got some action. Appraisal came back basically 25 grand lower than what we put it on the market for. So again, there's limits to this, man. Things are not just gonna go crazy, and I'm glad they're not.
Right.
You know what I mean? That shit would have happened in 2006. It would have appraised. Let's just be honest.
My question for you is this, right? The homes that we see them selling we agree that the homes are priced higher now than they were 6 months ago, right? And stuff is selling for more than it was 6 months ago. The appraisers have moved as much as they have in those 6 months. So they're not everything is appraising, but the appraisers are literally moving to where the market is now. Now with condo, you know how I feel about the condo market. The condo market is like a completely different animal. I mean, if you probably pulled active and closed sales in that building, you might be lucky if you have a 6 month supply on market. That would be for condo right now. That's great.
It's a different world.
It is.
But I had the same situation on a single family, very, 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 very similar to that. So,
but the thing with a single family is if you got another appraisal, that appraisal could take and come up and be at the other number.
Right, but let me tell you another thing. We've contested both of those issues. I've contested it with the appraisal. One of them, the appraiser went up a little bit, and this last 340 one is like, bro, I can't even go up a penny. So we're contesting these, and we're sending other comps and everything like that, and they're saying no. So it's one of those things that again, man, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm a guy who suffered through 2008, and I know, I'm already, and it sounds crazy, man, because I've been in this. When you think back how long I've been in this and the stuff that I've gone into, I'm the old guy now that knows, dude, this is what it's the truth. I'm the old guy now that says, dude, no, we don't want that. I know what that feels like. I know what going into what got us into the crash, and I don't want that there. I don't want that to happen. And I'm telling you, it's not happening. And we got a question in one of the class in the class today, like, well, I'm getting that the market's gonna crash. Guys, I just know what it felt like. It doesn't feel like it. It's like when birds know a tsunami's coming. You know what I'm saying? It's engraved into their DNA. And how do they feel a tsunami? How do animals climb up into the mountains when there's a tsunami? I'm telling you right now, I'm not climbing up the mountain. No. I'm not seeing that tsunami. I'm not even seeing the tides go a little bit higher. I'm not even seeing the waves. We're in a very, very, very healthy market, maybe too healthy. I mean, if we were a human, we would be with 3% body fat.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't hold the conversation, but
hey, we haven't eaten a carbon 6 months, but we're ripped and we're not having any fun, but we're not eating a pizza, but we're that person, and we skip a meal, we might have an issue, but we're in shape, and we're healthy, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's kind of like, oh, you change the angle. I don't know. Let me see that angle. I might like that angle a little bit better. Let me see. Look a little bit skinnier there. Right? All right.
That's the litmus test.
Yeah, I like that angle a little bit better. You might have fucked up Cadillac, buddy. You got me.
I only can get ugly. That's pretty much the only setting that I have.
Yeah, I definitely like that one better. See, we're still figuring out the angle thing, but that is definitely my better side right there. I would say. I mean, if you could do that same magic, because see right here. What do you call these in English? We call them in Spanish. We call them entradas. What do you call these in English? I
don't know. I don't know.
There's not a word in English for it?
There's a word for it. Maybe there is.
So in Spanish is entradas. So yeah. So this side I have more. So if you could figure that whatever angle that is. You were trying to figure it out. All right. If you can figure that angle over there, I think we're good here, man. Now all I got to do is a little bit of cardio, so I don't got to worry about this angle anymore, and we're
good to go.
We're good to fucking go, dude. I'm telling you, I was telling these guys that we were figuring out the angles before. I'm like, dude, I really don't like that angle. I think Leo told me, dude, so do some fucking exercise or something. Yeah, right. I'm like, man, I'm eating so healthy. I'm shitting flowers right now, man. I shit a butterfly the other day. I can't do it. I can't do any more than what I'm doing, man. That always gets me. So yeah, man. What were we talking about? We were talking about before shitting butterflies.
We were talking about the market and just where the market has gotten to. And we look. There's going to be, everybody is right in the sense that there's going to be some sort of correction to this market, right? But the correction is not going to be a tremendous fall in prices or anything like that. There's going to come some event, whether it's interest rates going up and demand diminishing, or something that causes this to slow down from its hyperactive state that it's in, because it's unsustainable. There's no way for the prices to continue to go up the way that they are. There's no way for the demand to stay so high, and for supply, the developer side, not to figure out some way to meet it, whether it's a change in the lending criteria so that people can get loans more easily. And by loans more easily, I mean the smaller down payments on condos and townhomes that are zoned condo or set up as condo. Something. There has to be some solution that's brought to market, because there's too much money on the table. That's the cool thing with the free market is, right? There's so much money available. If you can solve this problem, I mean, you could sell the world. If you could solve that, if you could take and connect all these buyers with product right now, so the financial incentive is super high to find some solution for this, I think that there will be one.
You know what? There would have been one of the main topics if I would have remembered. So, dude, I'm hearing that Airbnbs. That's a cool thing about being in my position. That you hear stuff. I guarantee there'll be an article about this very soon. You hear the weirdest things. You hear like the stuff before it starts happening, right? So I'm hearing that all Airbnbs are full to the brim because people are flying in from different countries, the people that can get here to get vaccines.
I am hearing something similar. Actually, I
and
know
people are buying too. You know what I mean? They're buying small stuff and everything like that. Because they want to. If you're afraid of the COVID and you're in a country where they're not really doing what they're supposed to do, you want to get the hell out of there. So I wonder what that's going to do to the real estate economy. You know what I mean? Or to the economy as a whole. I mean, people are coming from, because if you think about it, she told me about it. I'm like, damn, that's right. We have the vaccine. If you're in like Guatemala or something like that, again, nothing against Guatemalan, I guess, it's if you're one of those places, you're not going to get the vaccine.
But if you're in South America, the vaccine you have available to you is the Chinese vaccine, which is 51% efficacy. Why would you take that?
I didn't even know about that.
The neighbor to the north here is, we're duking it out over, we're mad about Johnson & Johnson being at 70%. and that's the weak sister of the bunch.
No shit.
I mean, no, I mean we have.
The United States is the United States, man. You could say whatever you want. You could go politics. You could do anything. We had people flying in to get the vaccine. I didn't even think about that, just because we have the vaccine, and now what does that feed? That feeds our economy. That feeds, the real estate investors that have these Airbnbs are packed, slammed. It's so interesting, man. It's so interesting what.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's very interesting that the system that they put in place. I don't know how they screen it out, because you have to come in and produce some sort of ID when you go get the vaccine.
Right, but again, if we're talking to a guy in Wisconsin, and I don't know why I always pick on Wisconsin. If we got a guy in Wisconsin, he's not seeing the guys who coming from South America. So I think that's unique to Florida and South Florida, that we're seeing. In this particular case, it was like one of my Peruvian agents. She was like, I'm getting all kinds of crazy calls from Peru. They're driving me crazy, and everywhere I go. So I'm wondering, if we go past Central Florida, I wonder if that's even happening anywhere else in the United States.
I would imagine places like New York, places. You know what? I imagine it's in states like Arizona. I think would be a state. Arizona is like leading the way. They're like, I forget what the number is, but like super high percentage of their population has already been vaccinated. So it's like, well over 50% of their population has been vaccinated. So if you're looking overseas, that's the kind of place you'd look for. Hey,
my son's calling me.
They got extra.
Yeah. I'm teaching. I'm doing a podcast. Okay, I can't talk. I'm doing a podcast. Sounds like a horror movie in that house. My daughter's crying like crazy. Everybody's screaming. Dogs are barking. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like we're just, I complain about Miami all the time. I mean, I do, man. Miami just fucking pisses me off, man. It just drives me insane. There's so many things about Miami that just really piss me off. But again, we got people coming from everywhere, and it's one of those places that and right now we're leading the whole cryptocurrency movement. All these tech companies are starting to land here, and I mean we will. It's looking like Miami will be the world leader in cryptocurrency. We're doing a cryptocurrency. I haven't even asked you how you feel about cryptocurrency, because I'm gonna tell you right now, kind of like until like a couple months ago, I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand it. My thing was, I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. To be honest with you, I just don't get it. I've been luckily I've know a bunch of people now that are really into it. And have introduced me to some of these industry leaders, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me.
Sure,
it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me. It's one of those things that it's. And then I start thinking to myself, do I really understand a credit card?
Well, sure, to some extent. The credit card is not. The two things are very different. I mean, understand this, right? Really, all money is some sort of intermediary that we both agreed has a certain amount of value.
Both agreed is the key part.
Yeah, we both have to agree.
Right. But there's enough people agreeing on it already where it became a currency.
And so the thing is, when does it reach that level of critical mass? When does it reach that level where, hey, I can buy enough stuff with this that, it does make, like, I can go get a car with this. Because otherwise I have to have some of the other kind of money and some of the new money in order to take and make it work. And the new money is gaining greater ground because it's a lot harder to track. There's a lot of benefits to it that let's be honest, the government has an amazing ability to penetrate very deeply into your life and your consumption and see what you're doing. Now, if you're a person that's not comfortable with that, this is a very good way.
But there's enough people not comfortable with it nowadays. There's enough people not comfortable with it.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
It's one of those things. You could have the money there and it's kind of untraceable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that there's value in that. Because again, if there's enough people that have agreed that this is currency, and that's exactly, you just hit it on the nail. We could say, I don't know, widget. Hey guys, widget is I'm thinking it's currency, and then all of a sudden there's 2 million people, 3 million people, 700 million people that think it's a widget is currency. It's currency. You know what I mean? Sure. So, and it's untraceable currency. So, you could say running from the government, or you could say I don't want the government to know I have the money. You could say tax. You could say divorce. You could say, hey, I want to stash my money here. When I get divorced, I don't want anybody to find out I have. I mean, there's value in it. There's value in it. Now, what we're doing already is just we got the title company ready. We got the mortgage companies ready. Oh, very interesting, kind of like I don't know if you know this, but in it's already written into mortgage guidelines to be able to use cryptocurrency. So it's starting to become mainstream.
Yeah.
And we are in Miami where the mayor is starting to pay employees in cryptocurrency. Listen, man. You know, again, it's one of those things that we might be at the right place at the right time, being in Miami. You know,
It's an idea whose time has come.
yeah.
And that's really the thing. I mean, look, all money.
Is it blown out of proportion though? Man, I think so. I think Bitcoin at 50,000 and everything like that. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, again, understand what you're doing is almost a forex thing. It's a foreign currency.
yeah, but man, 50,000. What other foreign currency in the history of the world has been
But
at that?
it doesn't matter. It's a relative amount. It's saying one of these is worth 50,000 of those.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, but
That doesn't.
what I'm saying to you is
Because the best way to tell the future is to look at the past, right?
Sure.
And there's never been we might be in a fury like, oh, this is the new, a shiny object, and everybody is paying attention to it, and that's what I think we're seeing. I'm not buying Bitcoin. Call me stupid. A lot of people will call me stupid. I'm buying the ones that are reasonable. That are pretty close to $1 or $15. I get, because I mean that's happened in that's happened in regular currency. So I'm staying to what I've seen in the past. Again, I'm either the dumbest son of a bitch in the world, and everybody else is going to make more money than me in this currency thing, in this cryptocurrency, or I'm the guy who gets it and I'm not going to get burned later on. I don't know.
No, I mean, the real thing that Bitcoin has going for it is the branding they've done. They are the name. And so, but I mean, understand this, right? What all this stuff is a means of barter. So if I said to you, hey, you know what? I'm going to trade you this brand new Lamborghini. One Lamborghini for 250,000 of your dollars. Well, you know what? It's a $400,000. It's a good deal.
Bad example.
I'm saying as an example. Understand that money always is a means of barter.
That Lamborghini costs a certain amount to make.
Correct.
And that's why it's different.
What I'm saying to you is this. There's kind of an agreed upon value in what one of these versus one of these is worth. So $1 is worth 1 point whatever it is, however many British pounds it's worth. Right? There's an agreed ratio. Finding what that level is going to be. But what I'm saying to you is understand money is nothing more than a means of barter as well. Right? I'm exchanging this because here the thing is, I'm a realtor, right? So if I go to the dentist, how am I going to pay the dentist if I don't have money? I'm going to take and sell a quarter of your house for you next time if you take and pull this tooth. Like, how do you make those numbers work? So we have money as an intermediary saying, hey, you give me this, and that's how I'm compensated. And I can take that intermediary and change and use it elsewhere.
Right, but let me tell you another reason why it doesn't make sense. So I watch a lot. I don't know why I got into like coins. I never owned a bunch of coins or anything like that, but I just love, like, when they find an old coin, shit fascinates the shit out of me. I can't tell you why, but they found a hoard of like Roman coins somewhere. I'll watch a 10-hour documentary on those fucking coins. I'm telling you, I just will. Right? So they found one of the oldest coins that are found are coins almost like tokens, like when you go to the arcade for a whorehouse, for a brothel.
Yep.
And they have, it's cool because it has the naked lady in the front, and that's what it was. It was so when you walked in the door, you purchased your coin, you would go upstairs and give that coin, and that was the current. They wanted to control the currency used in the whorehouse, right? Sure. So is whorehouse a bad? Am I supposed to, or
who knows?
Brothel? Okay, yeah, who cares? Fuck.
I haven't gotten the 2021 updated, the March version of the 2021 updated. What's politically correct.
I do my best not to offend people, but then I realize I don't give a shit. So so that coin, because of its rarity, right? Because that's another thing, supply and demand. There's all the supply in the world of those Bitcoins. It doesn't make sense to me, kind of like I'm telling you, bro. I'm either the fucking smartest guy in the world. So now that coin, that whorehouse coin, because of its rarity, because there was only a certain amount of those made in that particular whorehouse. How many years ago was that? 2,000 years ago?
Depends on what part of the Roman Empire was a long front time, but around 2,000 years.
Ish, right?
Could be more.
Right. So there's only a certain amount of those coins. I could see why one of those is worth $50,000.
Sure.
Right? I get it. I don't get the
scarcity is the issue, and
it's throwing away all supply and demand stuff, man. It just is. So,
well, I mean, that's the thing with the cryptocurrency. Who is the gatekeeper for determining when more of the currency is released? Because obviously scarcity, what you're talking about is scarcity. The coins are scarce, therefore they have an inflated value because there's only so many of them.
But in the history of the world, scarcity. Okay, so the diamonds. Let's talk about diamonds.
Not scarce at all.
Exactly. But who makes them scarce?
De Beers.
Correct.
They control the supply.
They control the supply. There's fucking diamonds everywhere.
Well,
but they bought them all up and they control, not only do they control like how much it's released, right? But they also control the mining. They source it.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a shitload of diamonds out there, guys.
That's super common.
Understand that. So, okay, I kind of get it because it's still supply and demand. I still got to go to one person and get it.
Right, and they control how much I have to spend for it.
So. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's one of those things where it's like a lot of my buddies grow marijuana. Which, by the way, 5 years ago I would have said that. I'm like, dude, you got all drug dealer friends. Yeah, I have. They used to be drug dealers. Now they're pharmacists. Now one of them walks around in a fucking trend and a white coat, and it's acceptable, right? He's a CBD expert. We call him the doc. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, right? Because it's completely different. It's more acceptable right now, right? So marijuana, when it was illegal, you could get a pound for $4,000, $5,000. Now it's kind of not really illegal anymore, right? So 1,000, right? So again, it's that makes sense to me,
right?
You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff makes sense to me.
Risk for it has been reduced,
right?
And it's become more.
So I don't get arrested traveling with it. I don't get arrested traveling.
So those
here's another thing.
Aren't part of it. Yeah.
Here's another thing. So if you guys keep continuing to talk about marijuana, CBD. So you could get CBD, like the flower, the weed, and you could get the regular marijuana, and it looks exactly the same. So when a cop pulls you over right now, even though it's still illegal here in Florida, they can't tell if it's CBD, which you could buy in a grocery store now, or it's regular marijuana. So guess what? It's illegal. But how the hell they're gonna? You know what I'm saying? So that makes sense to me. That's why it's cheaper. That's why, and more people. So you can have an old lady now that will walk around with it because it makes her feel better. It makes her sleep better. It helps her with the cataracts. It helps like the stuff that it really is good for you for. I don't know. That makes sense. But yeah. Again, that makes sense to me. Why one coin that has all the supply, you're never going to run out of it, is worth $50,000 when it's never in the history of the world been worth that much? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and the position that I would take is this, because I'm agreeing with you, because again, for me, the issue, and it's just because I don't know the subject matter well enough, who is the gatekeeper that controls the supply? Who is the person at Bitcoin that says, hey, we have 1 billion of these now, we have 3 billion now? Who's that person? Because their ability to make the currency, what makes the price of it what it is the scarcity of the currency as it stands today. How many Bitcoins are in circulation, right?
Yeah, maybe I'm completely ignorant. Listen, next week I'm gonna be in 20 hours of workshop. I might come back and apologize on this next one, next podcast. But are you going to those things, by the way? It's 3 days worth.
I found out about it today, I know. When somebody announced it.
Exactly. But yeah, you're definitely invited. It's 3 days worth of
well
workshops.
Prepared for that one.
Yeah, you're definitely invited to. There's 3 days of workshops, and yeah, it's one of those things where Again, so here's my official statement on Bitcoin and real estate. I think it's a currency and it's not going away. Okay, it's a currency and it's not going away.
Some form of it, yeah.
It's because of all the benefits from it, but because I could hold it somewhere and nobody knows I have it. It's the ultimate money under the mattress.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate money under the mattress, and nobody could come and knock on your door. Dude, you got to have 12 words that you remember or have written down in order to get into your own shit. You know what I'm saying? It's really genius stuff, right? So that it's there, it's real currency, it ain't going away. I don't believe it. I don't think it should be as high as Bitcoin, but I also think it's going to be a huge part of real estate, because right now, here's another thing. So this convention that we're going to, it's thousands of cryptocurrency nerds that are going to be there. Some of those guys invested $1,000, right? When it was pennies, and it's worth tens of millions of dollars right now. A $1,200 investment. You know what I mean? One of those. So there's a lot of those guys, and it's a community. Yep. It's a community. It's a free thinking community. And guess what? Whoever's in Miami, I would assume most of the people that are listening to us are in Miami. What do we have? A guy from Taekwondo, from
Korea.
Taekwondo, because I don't know if you know, Taekwondo is very popular in Korea. That's where my brain went there. But yeah, it's we have one guy from over there, but most of our people are from Miami. Miami is going to be, for whatever reason, just the world, the moon's aligned, and we're going to be a hub for, and a lot of these people coming from California. A buddy of mine's a teacher at one of the top 3 most prominent schools in Miami. Enrollment is up 35%. Most people from the Northeast, most people from California. You know what I mean? So Miami's getting bombarded with people from those states that, again, not to get political, then we go on a rant, but they're from those states that are having these shutdown issues and everything like that, and those freedom issues, and our wonderful governor. I'm not gonna apologize for the governor. I'll stay away from presidents, but you know what? If you got a problem with the governor, you got a problem with me. All right. If you got a problem with DeSantis, man, you come talk to me, man. I
mean, we have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country right now.
Well, the cruise line industry right now, he is saying, hey, listen, CDC, go to hell. Biden, go to hell. We're opening up those cruise engines. We are the biggest port in the world for cruise ships, in the world. And they're holding us hostage. He's like, hey, guess what? I don't care. We're opening. I don't care what anybody says. You know what? That's jobs. That's our industry. That's Miami. That's who we are. So, again, I have a love-hate relationship. Miami really pisses me off, but I love it. It's my city. You know what I mean? So I don't want it to be suffering. I don't want people to be out of work. I don't want our beautiful ships that are there, that are just a marvel of engineering. God, yes. Just sitting there. And whoever's not been on a cruise, I highly recommend it. I'm dying to go on a Disney cruise before my kids get too big. So, I'm totally against those damn vaccines. But I'll tell you what, if they tell me I can't go on a Disney cruise with it, I don't know, man. They might get me. You know what I mean? They might get me.
I feel like I'm definitely, I have to get it at this point. Yeah. Just because I know that at some point the boards are going to be like, you can't teach live unless you've been vaccinated. So
shit.
I feel it. I feel it in my bones that it's coming.
Yeah.
And so I know that do I care? Like for me, I'm fine getting COVID. I don't care.
I'm fine. I already got it. Yeah. And I'm fine getting it again if I get it again, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? It's the amount of vitamins and nutrients and everything that I intake a day. I mean, I don't know if you can measure my immune system, it has to be in the thousands of whatever the rate is. I'm at the top. So, it is what it is. What time is it? All right. How long have we been going so far?
27 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll start wrapping it up so we can end up at around an hour.
Let's wrap back to what we started in, because I think we never really fully fleshed out that idea. How nice it was, how reassuring it was, seeing so many agents when the word got put out that there was, what I hope was helpful information to people, that it was available. That showed up, and not only showed up, but they showed up again. I mean, a lot of those people were repeat people coming back for more and more and more. It's good to see that people have that care and commitment for their craft, because what you and I see every day, and I think it's kind of like what Richard, I understand why Richard is so risk averse, because the attorneys see stuff when the risk goes sideways. When everything goes bad, then it's a lawsuit and they're in the middle of it. So that's what they see all day long. You get the calls when a lousy agent screws up. One of the agents from one of the other companies does something stupid. That's what you see. That's what you're around. That's what you hear all the time.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of get this disproportionate feeling of how bad it is out there. I know as an agent actively doing the business, I feel that the vast majority of agents out there are not very good.
I would say that, and I hate saying it, but it's the fact. We have some really good. I think our good are real good.
Oh yeah.
But our bad are real bad.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So and that concerns me. And I'm one of those guys that say that and it hurts me to say this, because I had a really hard time passing the test we have right now, but I think they should make the exam like they do in Texas. In Texas, you gotta they put you through the mill to get your real estate license.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? What we taught today, was that all really good real world stuff?
Yeah.
Not one thing we taught today would have been on any real estate exam in any state that I've ever been to.
Ever.
Because
It's too real.
It's too real. It's too much about what really goes on. What do you say to the seller in this situation? How do you get the seller into the right mindset to actually be able to sell their home?
Which is what keeps the sellers and the buyers safe from incidents. So they don't teach that in school, which is insane. It's insane.
But again, it's the problem always winds up being you have a political group trying to mandate rules for a trade, because that's what we are in. We're a trade. Real estate is a trade. And so they don't know it as well as somebody that's been doing it all the time. It's even with the SEC, you see these problems where, Bernie Madoff got away with it for so long. The reason why the people that were the regulators weren't smart enough to understand what he was doing. That's the reason why they didn't bust him 10 years before. People were coming to them and saying, "Hey, look, he's running a Ponzi scheme," and they're the one guy's book I read it. He's like, "I'm showing them the data." And to begin with, I thought, maybe the charts were too rudimentary or something like that. And he's like, at some point I realized that they didn't understand the math behind what I was saying. And the reason is, if you go work on Wall Street, you're making millions a year. You go work at the SEC, you're not making millions a year. So the guys that work at the SEC aren't the best and the brightest. They're the ones that couldn't make it on Wall Street.
You got the guy who graduated with a 9.6 grade point average, going with a going against, this guy that's getting paid shit money, just ended up settling for that job. He got
a degree in community college.
You know what I mean? So it's just a mismatch. It's just a straight up mismatch. If it was athletic ability, they wouldn't be on the same court or the same field.
Right, and so that's the problem. The people that are regulating this thing, if you look at what the vast majority of what's in the real estate exam, it's how not to lose your real estate license, which is important, like how not to break the laws, the rules. The ethics side of it, you don't even get that till you join your board of realtors, really. Then you get exposed to the code of ethics, and that's the realtor code of ethics. Yeah. That's separate and distinct from the law stuff. But the real world stuff, the stuff that you and I know from pain and suffering that we had to either learn from somebody else, somebody had to show us, you don't get any of that in a real estate exam. And the thing is that real world stuff is the stuff that actually separates you from being a lousy agent and being a good agent. It allows you to take and protect and take care of and truly care for your customer and establish a real estate business that you're not only proud of, but does a great job for the customer. And so if you're not teaching that, but the thing is, the people that are the ones that are mandating what you have to learn, they don't know that stuff for the most part. And it's a shame. Some of the best courses I've gotten are from the board of realtors, from somebody that was a former broker, had a big brokerage himself, and now he's going through the listing agreement and all the reasons why. And you get to see the dirt under his fingernails from actually having done the work to learn this stuff. And that's what's missing in the real estate education side of things.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, definitely. Well, listen, let's wrap it up. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to see another microphone in front of me for at least a couple days, at least a week or so. We've done this is our with 5.5, almost 6 hours today. So yeah, but again, I loved it. You learn so much when you teach stuff, and the best part of these classes that we do is these chats and the questions that they ask and all the different variations. It's very cool. So, that being said, we're back on the horse again. My next couple of weeks are pretty crazy, but starting May we'll have this room will look a little bit different. We're gonna have we're gonna need a table. We need a couple little things, but we're almost there. We should put a picture on Instagram what our whole thing looks like. It literally looks like we know what the fuck we're doing. You know what I mean? It's starting to look like we know what we're doing. Where we started from where we are right now, we're definitely progressing. So yeah, and it's Friday. I need a drink, Cadillac. You don't drink, huh, Cadillac?
No, can't help you there, bud.
You never thought like just what have you had a drink before?
No, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a bourbon, like just
no,
ice.
I had when I was a little kid, my dad gave me a sip of wine. And I was like, well, this tastes like crap. That's a pass.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, good. And I got through all my teen years when you get in trouble with that kind of stuff. And after that, it's kind of like, well, why should I start? Because that's just more calories.
Nice.
Here's the thing, what I'm worried about is I'm going to like it.
You're definitely gonna.
If I like it, then I'm screwed.
you're definitely gonna like. Well, I'm gonna.
You have a drink for both of us.
I'm gonna have a drink for both of us. I'm gonna smoke a CBD joint, by the way, which by the way is really awesome. It doesn't get you high. It really relaxes you. It's actually good for you. There's a thing called Delta 8 now, which is a super relaxing. It's the over the counter version of it. It's the same thing, but It just relaxes you. So I'm definitely. It's been a long week, man. I'm gonna definitely have a nice bourbon on the rocks. You know.
I can see you tasting it.
I'm gonna go to sushi. I'm gonna go to a nice sushi place.
Nice.
That you like. You like sushi?
Sushi's good.
Sushi's good. All right, man.
Food, I've already got the problem.
Yeah, you got
Food,
that. You got that figured out. You
food
definitely.
is-
You're a food guy.
That's my addiction right there.
Yeah. Well, I brought my laptop. We didn't use it. I thought we were gonna look some stuff up, but it looks cool, I guess, right? I mean, it looks like we know
super
we're doing
official.
something. It looks like I had
Super
notes.
hardcore.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks. So yeah, starting May, we're back on the horse again. We're gonna start getting these up and running. We got a couple ideas for some stuff. Well, I got a couple ideas for some stuff. I'm kind of like I haven't gotten his ideas yet. We'll put them together and we'll start. We're back on the horse in May. We'll have a nice little table going here, and one day we should just go to IKEA because I kind of like the big. You know what? On OfferUp, they got those wood. That's what I want, and I want to get one of those wood, tables. I think that'll look cool with a background and stuff like that. These chairs suck too, so we gotta get the chairs going. So and next time you guys don't point the fan to yourselves. You pointed to us. I was burning my ass off, and these guys are over there with. They had the fan on the floor, so I guess their asses were getting cooled and their balls. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys, we'll end it up with asses and balls. Thank you very much. See you next month.